Before I get into everything, we start actually talking about, logistics of everything. How we feeling? Did we process what happened Monday? Let's talk about it.
I think in that moment, just all of the overwhelming emotions, like when we got back in the car after I was really having an anxiety attack, and I think it started just seeing him and being overwhelmed by excitement, but also just feeling overwhelmed in general. And when we were standing there and I tried to put the collar on and being face to face with him and him starting to growl, it immediately just sent me into a flashback of the first day when it happened. And I was telling him, I felt like my hands went numb, I was trying to clip it, but I couldn't feel anything. And I think all of that just, I'm sure, didn't help the situation. I'm sure he was picking up on that too, and everything was overwhelming for all of us. And that's kind of the extent, which I think we were kind of talking about it. In hindsight, that was probably a first sign that he's young, we're seeing this, we should put him in training. But I think I don't know, at least me, I kind of chalked it up to puppy behavior. He's getting older, he'll grow out of it, and then but it was never like a threat of imminent danger. It always seemed like normal dog behavior, I guess.
Yeah. Are there medical issues I should be aware of? Any injuries, surgeries, allergies? Was he on medication for anything? Throughout his process at the shelter, was he medicated for anything outside of that yeast infection that you just told me about?
Or maybe about halfway through, back over the summer, they put him under sedation to clip his claws because they were getting long, and they with the bite history, they didn't want to do it without the sedation, but they did that. And then back 2 Fridays ago, they sedated him again to trim them again, they said. And then to treat the ear infection.
Weakness draws aggression, and so every time you failed to put on the collar and backed off the way that you did, you were pumping him up, right? When you were putting your arm around him and petting him, he was showing insecurity. He kind of burrowed his head into you. Do you remember? So he kind of rested his head against you, and then you're petting him, telling him it's okay. So with the combination of the two, he became possessive of you. So he was resource guarding you against me, against you. Does that make sense? That's why he was getting nasty like that. And then even when we put him in the kennel, were you nervous? And be so for real, right? Because
I was a little scared, just because obviously we hadn't seen him in so long, and I was like, oh shit, is he really aggressive?
Right.
Everybody's saying he is. So
because if you notice, he was going in, you kind of tapped on the kennel, he poked his head out, walked towards you, you kind of backed up against my van, and that's when he jumped up and kind of put his paws on you. And he didn't bite you, but he definitely You remember that?
Yeah, I didn't feel like he was gonna bite me, but I was a little worried.
Yeah. I would say, because he also put your arm in his mouth.
He did?
Yeah. When we were trying to get the leash on him, when you went in like this, your arm was in his mouth.
Oh shit, I didn't realize.
Yeah. It's a case of dominance by default. When there's no clear leader or authority figure in the dog's life, the dog takes it upon himself to create those rules, boundaries, and structures that you as dog owners should have created. He was allowed on the furniture. He was allowed to free roam off leash. You can't get him to stop doing certain behaviors. It's difficult to even put a leash or a harness on him. You kind of low-key taught the dog to be insecure because every time he goes belly up, that's a submissive sign and you're petting it. So there's conflicting. It's hot and cold. Everything hormonally, genetically is telling him to be dominant. You guys are treating him like a Yorkie and telling him to be submissive. Does that make sense? Yeah, makes sense. We have to undo everything before the bite, but also we have to undo everything beyond the bite, the last year and a half. The main issue that I'm seeing is he's not looking to humans for jack shit. He's just independent on his own, doesn't look to us for anything. Now, we've seen little glimpses, like Kevin was telling me today, he was a little social with him. which is good, promising. But we essentially have to kind of reprogram the way his mind thinks. You know, I don't know what happened at the animal center. I can only assume. But like the eating his own poop, being covered in piss, smelling like piss, having a yeast infection, like this dog was left there to rot. Yeah. He was affected psychologically,
sure.
Right? So that's hurdle number one. Hurdle number two is, like I said, it doesn't matter what me and Kevin do here. If y'all can't do the same thing when push comes to shove, then it's not going to be worth anything, right? But the stakes are high. And if he does bite somebody again, it's over, right? And so I just want to be very clear and transparent about the financial commitment you're about to make, but also understanding that even when you make that financial commitment, if he does bite somebody, it could be for nothing. Right. I'm not in the habit of taking people's hard-earned money unless I feel I can help them. I feel I can help you. I feel I can help Leo. But what's to be determined is obviously you have to come out of your shell. You have to face your demons. There's a lot of things that I, on a daily basis, including when I deal with dogs like Leo, like that triggered me. You know what I mean? It was a stressful situation. You couldn't get the collar on. You know, you were kind of like, oh, loosen it a little bit. I'm like, just trust me, get this fucking collar on before this dog comes and gets me, right? Because at that point, he wasn't attached to anything, just on that little rope leash, and it would have sucked. The last thing I wanted was for him to attack me or attack somebody and then be like, never mind, you know? And so I need you to be open and honest with me when that does happen. Because I clocked it. I was like, oh, she's having PTSD right now. Like, I could tell. Yeah. The second you were like, I'm scared, and then I asked you, oh, you're scared of the dog, and you like try to backtrack, I was like, okay. So like I can be aware of it and can kind of point it out, but also like I need you to be like, yeah, I'm freaking out. Yeah. Right.
And I think in that moment I was nervous too, because I feel like this needs to go perfectly, and when it started not to, like what I was feeling, that just immediately heightened it, because then of course the anxiety in my head is sending 40,000 what ifs all at one time.
I 100% feel it. I get you. Oh, this is an uphill battle both ways. It's not going to be easy. But personally, in the last 2.5 days that I've had Leo, he hasn't tried anything. I mean, we just gave him a full-on bath. He's got a yeast infection 1 year. He let me clean it out.
How was getting the muzzle on him?
I mean, the first time I went to put it on, I missed, and then he kind of was like doing this. But then I put it on the second time. It was a little too tight, so I had to loosen it. And in that moment, he kind of started to like move his head, but I controlled it. When I put it on, he was fine. After that, he kind of was like doing this, trying to get it off. I just knock it off, and eventually he just accepted it.
But they are close. Like there was never any issues with her like laying with him or playing with him.
But like that concerns me, because what happened to your friend could happen to your daughter. Right. Because they understand the problem here is entitlement. He's a spoiled, rotten princess. Yeah. He thinks he runs the house. He thinks it's his house. You live in it. When you can't get the dog to stop doing something that he wants to do. So in his mind, he's like, who the hell do you think you are telling me what to do? And so with your daughter, she's getting what's called a puppy pass because she's a child, right? So in his mind, he's like, yeah, whatever. But as she gets older, matures, now she's an adult dog. If she tries to put a boundary on him that he's not used to, he's gonna be like, who the hell do you think you are? Because when he's biting, understand, it's a correction. He's not trying to savage you, which is why after he bit your friend, he told me he went submissive when you were like, Leo, off. Right, because he's not trying to hurt her or kill her. Yeah. As much as it looks that way, it's a correction. That's how dogs communicate. Knowing is half the battle. Once you know better, you can do better. But ultimately, when Leo is with the shits, you gotta put your foot down and be like, absolutely fucking not. It is non-negotiable. And the best way we can get through to his head is by, rules, structures, boundaries. No furniture, no free roaming, no off leash, no free access to toys, no unwarranted affection. until we get to a point where we can trust him, he respects us, and the rules are clear. It takes us as humans about 3 weeks to develop new habits. It takes dogs about 3 months to develop long-term memory. So that's 90 days of consistently doing the same thing over and over. The rule is the rule 10 out of 10 times.
So ultimately, the question is like, when is the best time to have that done?
So going through the training and doing that hormonal imbalance reset will kind of help temper it. When you neuter it, it'll further temper it. At the end of the day, behavior is behavior, right? Sometimes it is fueled by hormones. Sometimes it's fueled by habituation, which is just habits, lifestyle, things like that. So I think if we, while he's intact, get him to a baseline, then neuter him, then continue training to further get him to another baseline is going to be the best approach.
Like, do you see like hope for him? Like, is it, you think he, as long as we kind of like, obviously we were uneducated as dog owners, so just kind of instill some confidence in him being able to hopefully come back home and like live a, obviously not a normal life because things are going to be different, but get back to that.
Well, and to your point, like, it's a big financial commitment. Like, I guess if the roles were reversed and we were talking to you on that side of the desk, like, if you had to make the decision, I suppose, would you continue down that path? I know that's kind of like a biased question, but
look, I'll keep it 100 because I do put myself in your shoes, right? Don't get it twisted and think that I'm just over here like, you know, oh yeah, it'll work or what. No, like, I put myself in your shoes, and I have to know where your minds are at. I have to know what it is you're feeling, what it is you're thinking. That's why I started the conversation off the way that I did, because I want to point out these observations I've made. Because if you're unaware of it and you're living in Delulu land, hey, I'm sorry, I can't help.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put myself at risk. I'm not going to put my employee at risk, right?
Are we doing the right thing? Or would you, if you were in our position, continue to go down this path? Like, do you still see enough of a chance of hope that it will work out positively that you don't think in the current situation that we're like potentially doing, or not potentially, like doing this to fail, I guess?
Well, that would be a question you would have to answer, right? Because you have to look inward and you have to take a long, hard look in the mirror and say, is this really something that I can do?
Yeah.
Or is this something I think I can do, right? Because right now you can't do it. But with the education, the guidance, the coaching, I'm going to give you the structure, the blueprint, the guideline, the information, the tools. I'm going to be a lifeline for you for the rest of Leo's life if you choose to have it that way. I'm your resource, right? So if you trust me and you're confident in my abilities to help you, then the other part of that equation is just you doing the work. Are you doing this for the right reasons? Are you doing this because you want to fix your mistakes? You want to do better by Leo. You want to give him a good opportunity. And I feel that you can, but I just met you. I've only known you a few months, right? So that's something that you guys are really going to have to look inward and ask yourselves. To answer your question, though, yes, I feel that we can. There's 2 points we can land in between, right? We'll say worst case scenario, you understand the situation better, you have some management techniques you can apply to improve quality of life, and the situation will be better than it was. Best case scenario, the training sticks, you make a transformation, Leo makes a transformation, we're one big happy family, we can have our cake and eat it too. We can land anywhere in between those 2 points. But that's going to depend on the work that you put in, and changing your habits as well as the lifestyle.
I think like part of what also made Monday overwhelming is that like we have put in so much just to get to that point, and it's like 5 seconds of relief because then you realize like this is just one like we just hit like one checkpoint. There's still so much more to go, and like having to be realistic with ourselves that like obviously there's the way we want all of this to work out, but at any point, any day, things could change, and we have to be realistic that no matter how much we want him back, you know, with our family, no matter how much we want to give him a second chance because we feel like it's fair for him, given, you know, to your point earlier, like the way that we initially raised him wasn't necessarily his fault. And so it does feel like this is like a second chance for all of us in a sense. So yeah, I think the answer you gave just now kind of like clicked with some of those things. At least I've already been feeling, and I do think it's going to be hard, especially for me because I'm already an emotional person. But I'm willing to do everything I have to do, even when it's hard, because I feel like that's, I don't know, I feel like it's just like what I have to do for me, for him, for Leo. So
I kind of feel the same way. Like I've always wanted her to be like a successful like dog owner. I would say like have him like trained and stuff like that. But it is gonna be a lot of work. But I'm willing to do that. Like from day one we just knew like he deserved a second chance, and we wanted to give that to him. That's why we've like gotten to this point.
Yeah, and I believe you. I mean, you guys have gone to bat. You didn't have to do what you did. You could have just accepted, okay, he's getting put to sleep. But you fought, right? And I respect that. I commend that.
Kind of felt like this was probably coming, like it was going to be more than a 6 week, just, you know, because you're totally right. Like, we don't want to take him back either if he hasn't been pushed to those limits, because the last thing we want to do at this point is like half-ass it and rush it just for the sake of getting him home when like something could trigger him that, you know, wasn't accounted for, and we're back at square one. Like, then everything would have really been for what? So I mean, yeah, of course it is unfortunate, taking more time, more money, but at the same time, it's like we've gotten this far. Like, we need to give it the best chance possible.